For years, the dominant message for managing blood pressure has centered on cutting sodium, avoiding salty foods, and choosing low-sodium packaged products. Yet this approach often leads people toward ultra-processed snacks that are technically low in salt but nutritionally weak, metabolically unhelpful, and sometimes counterproductive. A growing body of research suggests that improving blood pressure is not just about lowering sodium intake, it is about restoring the body's natural mineral balance, particularly the ratio of potassium to sodium. And this is where bananas, one of the most familiar and accessible fruits, begin to outperform many engineered low-sodium foods. Bananas offer a combination of potassium density, whole food carbohydrates, and metabolic stability that makes them far more effective for supporting healthy blood pressure than most processed snacks marketed for heart health. Potassium is one of the most powerful natural regulators of blood pressure because it helps the kidneys excrete excess sodium, relaxes blood vessel walls, and improves the way cells communicate through electrical signaling. While sodium restriction can reduce blood pressure in some individuals, the more consistent predictor of cardiovascular improvement is actually a higher potassium intake. This mineral helps correct the modern imbalance caused by diets dominated by processed foods. Many people consume far too much sodium, but even more importantly, they consume too little potassium. Bananas offer a simple, enjoyable solution. A medium banana provides around 420 milligrams of potassium in a naturally balanced package, without additives, preservatives, or artificial substitutes. What makes bananas especially appealing is how their potassium is delivered. Unlike potassium supplements, which can be harsh on the stomach or poorly absorbed, bananas provide potassium within a matrix of whole food fibers, slow-burning carbohydrates, and polyphenol that enhance absorption and support stable blood sugar. This means the potassium reaches cells more efficiently and works synergistically with other nutrients to support vascular relaxation and electrolyte balance. Clinical observations consistently show that populations with high fruit intake, especially fruits rich in potassium, tend to have lower average blood pressure, even when their sodium intake is moderate rather than extremely low. A common misconception is that the natural sugars in bananas make them unsuitable for metabolic health. Yet whole fruit carbohydrates behave very differently from refined sugars or processed snack carbs. Bananas contain resistant starch, especially when slightly green, soluble fiber, and pectin, components that slow digestion, reduce glucose spikes, and promote stable insulin responses. When carbohydrates are bound to fiber, water, and cell structures, as they are in whole fruit, they generate a much gentler metabolic effect than the simple starches used in low-sodium crackers, chips, or bars. In fact, the glycemic impact of a banana is not only moderate, but also far more predictable than the responses triggered by ultra-processed low-sodium snacks, which often rely on refined flours that break down quickly into glucose. Low-sodium processed foods often give the illusion of being healthy while offering little real physiological support. They may be free of salt but are frequently high in refined carbohydrates, industrial oils, artificial additives, or flavor enhancers that do nothing to improve cardiovascular health. These foods also tend to be low in micronutrients and fiber, making them metabolically neutral at best and harmful at worst. In contrast, a banana is a whole, living food product created by nature to supply energy, minerals, and hydration in a balanced way. Instead of simply removing something undesirable, sodium, bananas provide something deeply beneficial, potassium, while also offering fiber, antioxidants, and gut-friendly carbohydrates. The potassium to sodium ratio is one of the strongest predictors of blood pressure outcomes in nutrition science. Bananas have virtually no sodium, and their potassium load tilts this ratio strongly in the direction associated with healthier vascular tone and kidney function. When the body receives adequate potassium, it begins to unload excess sodium stored in tissues and blood vessels. This effect is often more meaningful than the amount of sodium a person avoids. In practical terms, adding potassium-rich foods may be more effective than eliminating a moderate amount of sodium from the diet. This is a hopeful message for people who find strict sodium restriction difficult, especially during winter when soups, broths, and warm savory foods are comforting and culturally central. Emerging research shows that potassium-rich diets also support nitric oxide production, which helps blood vessels maintain elasticity and reduces the stiffness that contributes to hypertension. Bananas are not only rich in potassium but also contain small amounts of magnesium, vitamin B6, and polyphenol that create a supportive environment for vascular health. Magnesium, in particular, is a cofactor in hundreds of enzymatic reactions that regulate muscle tension, including the smooth muscles of the arterial walls. The combination of potassium, magnesium, and whole fruit carbohydrate makes bananas a holistic approach to blood pressure balancing rather than a single nutrient fix. Another underappreciated benefit of bananas is their impact on the gut microbiome. Resistant starch in less ripe bananas and pectin in ripe bananas both act as prebiotics, feeding beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate and acetate. These metabolites reduce inflammation, support healthier endothelial function, and indirectly improve blood pressure. Processed low-sodium snacks, by contrast, offer virtually no support for the microbiome. Bananas, through their fiber composition, help cultivate a gut environment that favors better metabolic outcomes and reduces the low-grade inflammation associated with hypertension. Lifestyle practicality matters as well. Bananas are inexpensive, require no preparation, and are easy to bring to work, eat post-workout, or use as a gentle breakfast item. They provide hydration, electrolytes, and energy in one simple package, making them especially valuable for people who struggle to drink enough water, athletes who lose electrolytes through sweat, or individuals looking for a satisfying alternative to salty snacks. Their natural sweetness makes them emotionally satisfying, helping curb cravings without relying on additives or artificial sweeteners. What emerges from the research is a picture far more nuanced and optimistic than the traditional low sodium equals better blood pressure narrative. While reducing excessive sodium is certainly helpful, the long-term key to stable blood pressure appears to be increasing potassium intake, especially from whole fruits. Bananas offer an ideal combination of potassium density, metabolic steadiness, prebiotic fiber, and vascular supportive nutrients that collectively outperform many low-sodium diet foods designed through industrial processing rather than biological intelligence. In a world where dietary advice often feels restrictive and focused on what to avoid, bananas represent a more empowering approach. Instead of subtracting flavor or relying on engineered snacks, people can add something delicious, nourishing, and metabolically supportive to their daily routine. They demonstrate that improving blood pressure can come from abundance rather than deprivation, from choosing whole foods that enhance the body's natural mineral rhythms rather than relying on products stripped of sodium, but also stripped of meaningful nutrition. Bananas, in their simplicity and accessibility, offer a deeply positive message. Sometimes the path to better cardiovascular health lies not in removing, but in nourishing by supporting the potassium-sodium balance, stabilizing metabolism, and delivering nutrients in a form that the body understands and uses with remarkable efficiency.